the grassroots, connecting people and sharing ideas.
Hi, we are back again. This is Arlene.
This is Grace.
And you are with us for the Blast from the Grassroots. Today we have two guests here, and both of them are science geek, I believe.
Yes, we are from APOSL, which stands for Advocates of the Propagation of Science Literacy.
And today we are going to talk about celebrating science with Nikola Tesla, who the hell he is. But they will let us know. We have here Nathalie Key and also Terence Tan. How are you guys doing?
Good, yes.
How are you?
Yeah.
Yes, I only know a very short history of Tesla, that he's the inventor of machinery, right?
Yes.
I've heard of the Tesla coil. And
He actually invented like a lot of things like alternating current. Whatever you're doing now is all invented by him. You wouldn't be able to broadcast if it wasn't for Tesla. You wouldn't have engines in electrical generators if it wasn't for Tesla. You wouldn't have lights if it wasn't for Tesla. Because he invented a lot of the basics of electronics that allow basically alternating current. Which is the basis for a lot of modern day technology.
But why people want to celebrate Tesla? Why they have this Hari Tesla or Tesla Day?
Well, actually, for us, it's more of celebrating famous scientists. So APOSL is for, we promote science literacy. So we are trying to celebrate people like Tesla, and other important scientific figures, and trying to promote them and tell people what their accomplishments were, and also to help, because when Hari Tesla, we're doing it with the kids also, so we want to make sure the kids understand that they can aspire to be somebody like them,
Yeah, so you are inspired to be like Nikola Tesla.
No, yeah. Actually, I'm a law student, but I do have passion for educating people in a way, and that is also the same for science. I feel that the general Malaysian public, they don't have really good grasp of basic science education, because you go to school, you regurgitate everything, and you come out and you forget most of the things. You don't apply them and to your everyday life, because you don't think of it so much because it doesn't resonate with you. So when science is taught right, you can have, if you have passion for it, if you have you understand why it's important and how it really relates to your life, it can carry on with you into your later life.
But also, there's not many avenue that really promote or spark the interest on science. I still remember when I was a kid, not really a child, but at that time I was a teenager. Like petroscience was the first like a place where I was exposed to a lot of different ideas about science and technology. But when you look at the overall picture, it's very little exposure on science. Is actually not that complicated. It's actually very fun to understand it. I don't know about you, Grace, because you came from a different sort of education background.
Well, we do study science, of course, and the science education in Korea is pretty, I will say, it's pretty developed. So because we do have a lot of experiments kind of stuff in the science laboratory. So, but after coming to overseas and then talking to people, I found the one thing about Tesla. There's been sort of controversial finding out about Tesla versus Thomas Edison, because when back to school we learn all this the light bulbs and all things were invented by Thomas Edison, not Tesla. He wasn't really highlighted in our science book,
including in Malaysia. When we talk about science, I remember the name Thomas Edison, but I couldn't recall Tesla until until then there's like YouTube and other internet.
Yes, and also the post.
Background.
There are like few posts that has been updated and then going around in the social media, and the people now they get to get interested. Like I can just see from a few of my peers, from my friends, yeah. So I want to question why do we learn science, but then based on like because we don't know who. Not many people know about Tesla actually, but we do know about the Thomas Edison.
Well, it's mostly because of the way a lot of the history books have been written, that Edison was actually promoted as doing a lot of things. But when the historians actually go back into time and look at who invented and who discovered things, they find that Tesla has been doing a lot of things. And part of the reason why everybody's been mentioning Tesla, because nowadays we have the Tesla, the car, which is actually wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Tesla also, because it's an electric car, and he's the father of the electricity. So people went back and looked at it and said, actually, because at that time they were looking at it, and they didn't. People were being taught, and what they learned in schools, and even in the U.S. and everybody was thinking that Edison was this famous person and doing all these things.
Yes.
But when people actually did a proper study, they found that Tesla was a better scientist, as it would be.
Or a mad scientist.
Yeah. Edison was more of a industrialist, as it would be. He will take an idea and then sell it to people. Whilst Tesla was, Tesla died without any money, and his favorite his favorite friend was pigeons.
Yes,
so he's a bit of eccentric, and we need all these sort of people because
need friends with pigeons.
Yeah, and going back to the cars that we talked about, the Tesla motors, I believe.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate more about this Tesla motors, and which country actually do run this system right now?
Fan Motors is a company started by Elon Musk, and he actually runs currently. Is actually kind of a long history. He's trying to reinvent the automobile industry based on electrical vehicles, and it currently only runs in America and Canada, in North America mostly. I think they're moving to Europe soon. When he first started the company, everybody was against him. I mean, the automobile associations and what he's doing is he's also direct selling his car. That means he's not selling it through vendors or retailers. He's direct selling it to the consumer himself. So there's a lot of controversy in the sense, will he be able to pull out, all that stuff? But he's been very successful recently. So he's actually one of the very good contributors. He actually also helped with the Tesla Museum, because the laboratory was going to be sold, and all the museum pieces were going to be discarded or thrown away or donated or whatever. No? So he actually put I think about $1 million to help the Tesla Museum.
If Tesla have invented so many things, from science to technology to engineering stuff, has he actually won a Nobel Prize before?
Him and Edison were elected to win the Nobel Prize, but they never won. I don't know why they didn't. They didn't win. Both him and Edison got nominations, but they didn't get a Nobel. I don't think that's what Tesla cares about. Tesla, what he cared about was invention or discovery and the next cool thing. I mean, he's a celibate. He didn't even go out with women because he's like no time for them. He's like, I'm too busy with my toys and my stuff.
So that means he never.
I don't know whether he's a virgin. That one I didn't ask him.
But coming back to education part on the celebrating his day, what are the things that we can expect on this particular day?
Well, we have a video. Then for the kids, we are actually going to have them play with the Tesla coil, because we're doing it with Pusat Science Negara, which is down in Mont Kiara, and they actually have a Tesla coil. So we're going to let people play the Tesla coil, which is one of his inventions, which is a cool invention. Because Tesla is quite a showman. Also, he liked to put on a show and show people like, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing, this, whatever. But he also made it so like he became like the mad scientist, kind of like people going, wow, this crazy guy, like Frankenstein, So there were a lot of weird inventions too. He invented a death ray but it wasn't really a death ray. But people thought he was inventing a death ray, and there were a lot of things that were attributed to him.
So what can we expect for Tesla Day by APOSL?
Other than the short video, it's actually they took a documentary and made it more digestible for children. After the video, there will be a presentation, or I'm not sure which one comes first, whichever one the kids will be comfortable with first. Then there will be activities, quizzes, and things that are appropriate for kids that age. And then there will be, I think there will be cakes, right?
Yeah, I think we're cooking
there'll be
some things,
cakes.
so we're baking some stuff up
Something, yeah.
to give away to it. Because the kids, of course, had to have their candy and their sweets
Sugar.
and stuff, and then they get excited about it.
So
Maybe-
when can we expect this event? When is it exactly?
It's on Thursday, which would be the 11th of September. Yes.
And then the public event is on Saturday. So the one on Thursday is for kids, school kids, because they get taken from the schools and bused to the place to go and see it.
And you're collaborating this with Pusat Sains Negara.
Yep.
Yes.
It actually we actually been chasing them for a while to do activities. So this is our first one with them. We hope it goes well, and maybe we can do more lah.
Tell us more about the Pusat Sains Negara or the National Science Center. Is it? It seems like it's trying to, but you guys are reaching out towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually do activities. They have something like sort of quote unquote summer camps sort of thing for. They actually bring kids from rural areas into the city and to Pusat Sains Negara for like a few days, which is really nice to expose them to science. I'm not really sure exactly when, but it's about the end of the year, around the end of the year.
So it's like a science tour for all the children.
What do they have at the Pusat Sains Negara?
They have exhibitions of planetary stuff and just a lot of general science knowledge, mostly targeted for school kids. And that's pretty much their mandate, is to try to promote science from a government point of view. Whereas ours is like a kind of like from a public social kind of view.
From geeks' point of view.
We try to.
Well, Nathalie, you talked about the education, right? What are the other ways that we can actually educate the children in terms of when it comes to science? Like, we do learn science in school, but we don't make use of them, you see. We just do learn science in school just for the sake of education and just to get the grades. But then to make it practical, what are the ways that we can approach? And like, for example, Tesla Day, not many people are aware of this. So how not only educating children, but also adults? How are we is there any plans that we can approach whole public? Yeah, not only focusing on the children. Do you have any plans or?
For APOSL, we have had in the past sort of events, right? Some of them closed doors, some of them open to the public. Where we invite experts, actually, sometimes from our circles and sometimes from outside, who give talks. And sometimes we also throw in like maybe a cake or some cookies or things like that. And we actually invite the general public to come in and listen to the talks, and hopefully from there they get a general idea on how to move forward in terms of that topic. So there was once we invited a petroleum engineer. Sort of, someone with an oil and gas background, ex oil and gas. I mean she used to be in the field, and she talked about how oil wells were dug up and things like that. And there was once even Terence gave a talk actually on, what was it again, Terence?
Can't remember.
Something related to your field. Was it? Oh no.
Pattern recognition? No. Number theory, yeah.
Number theory.
Yeah, which is
number
everybody knows about the
Game
movie
theory.
lah. Game theory.
Game theory, yeah, that was
it's
very
number
interesting.
theory. It's usually called number game theory, which is basically talking about economists use it to predict markets and everything like that, but how you can actually predict certain events from happening and how you organize things into games. It's not actually game related, like computer games or everything like that. It's more related to how you can portray the world in a certain state, and then how you can come up with predictions from those states. So it's very science related. We actually have a few guys that actually do all these things. A little bit less because sometimes we're volunteer driven, like any volunteer driven. There's ups and downs, and people are busy. There's no time to do stuff. So, but we try to open science to the general public.
What is the state of science literacy in this country? From your rough observation.
We did a survey back. One of our members, Sam, did a survey back, and it was kind of shocking that like people don't know like the sun revolves around the earth, or the earth revolves around the sun. Which one is right? A lot of people don't even know that.
What are the other questions that you ask the public?
What was it again? Something about. I don't remember.
You can
so
look
much.
it up.
Yeah,
I
can
just
look it up.
remember it's also based on my experience back in Korea, because Korea, the education there is really, really strong and competitive in terms of how to educate people. Especially young children. So what I had before when I was younger was I went to the Science Expo in Korea. So they actually invited not celebrities but actors and actresses to act out all those famous scientists. So that actually did help us to remember all the scientists in the. So we get to for example, one of them was Thomas Edison. So that he actually acted out how he invented all the light bulbs and the electricities. So that way we felt more connected to that science because he was actually in person and in figure. Yes.
Damn,
so
I want to go schools in Korea.
it's more interesting and it's more entertaining rather than sitting in a school and sitting in a class and listening to what teacher has to say. So it's more interactive and more entertaining in that way. So
And
maybe
also, you try to weave in pop culture in
Yes.
science. In Malaysia, is there any form of pop culture in science? Promotion, propagating science besides APOSL?
I don't think we do that because there are very, very, very few people who sort of put effort into science education. Not away from the mainstream form, which is formal education. Yeah. So we actually hope to see other people use other forms of teaching and gaining.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised that a majority of the people who are joining APOSL are mostly educators, or science educators, or even engineers. And so if we did a survey of APOSL, most of them would come up to be the engineers, teachers, or current researchers, very academic. So, but we're trying to bridge that with the public.
definitely there'll be a great chance to make public aware of what's going on in terms of science. Yes.
What about Malaysian scientists? Is there a vibrant community of Malaysian scientists?
There is a group called Scientific Malaysia,
Scientific Malaysia.
which actually groups a whole bunch of PhD students. They actually have an article. They publish a journal on scientific discoveries. Because a lot of them are studying either locally or abroad. So there are some of them actually doing all these things. We haven't had a chance to actually have one of them speak yet, but we would like to do that, as well as to invite some international people to talk about science.
That'll be a great opportunity to have them, and then we get to listen to all those topics they can deal.
So I want to ask a personal question. Like, if you can propagate science in school, what kind of activity? I know, Grace, you mentioned about using actors and actresses to
It's
act
one
out
of them, yes.
famous scientists. But what about your version of science in pop culture?
I would say the most crucial element in education would be having a passionate educator. You know, even if it can be sometimes as boring as using just the whiteboard, but with a passionate educator, you know, the whiteboard can the teacher can draw really wonderful things and give brilliant illustrations and things like that, because there's this sort of power. I believe that passionate educators have a really rare talent or gift, you know, that they have to
It's also different
yes.
when it comes to delivering messages. You know, when it comes to the passionate educator, they have different ways of delivering message and
yes.
educating all these young children. So that's when then the all young children can feel connected to the teachers, lecturers, educators.
For me, making education relevant is definitely the most important thing. I was actually a science a science student back in high school, but I felt that the science education that we had are mostly based on textbooks. But when you go to the library, there are science magazines like Popular Science, for example, and you get totally different information. In fact, I felt more excited reading those magazines than actually going to class, memorizing facts.
And more insights, and then they bring more questions.
better
and
pictures.
Better pictures, thank you. Better pictures, illustrations. All these things are more entertaining to our eyes, and it's very eye-catching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Terence?
Well, science, and the thing is, I've not been educated here because I've got an American high school degree and an American college degree.
No.
So, but
Maybe we can share, like.
the way education is done, at least over here, is well, it's not the same in the U.S. It is also a lot of rote and memorization, and this is math, this is whatever. So you have to study and pass tests and everything like that. But there was actually a lot less emphasis on testing, but more of working with the student to actually encourage them to be creative and to want to learn the topic versus being forced to learn the topic. Because a lot of times, if you don't see how fun and how exciting it is itself, you're just gonna remember it and then just do it, just get a good grade so your mom won't scold you. So all those things are, and also to get a good job, you have to pass all these things, which is different from a lot of the new way of education, where people are saying you have to emphasize the fact that it's a lifelong thing you're doing. Like one of the things we like to do in APOSL is we always try to read up on new latest science articles, whether we are, me or whoever, we actually post it up on our site so that people can read up about nanotubes, or solar panels. So all these up and coming science discoveries or scientific discoveries, then we can ask and have a discussion about it. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole thing, is like education doesn't stop because you're in school. When you're out of school, you also want to learn new things.
Before we end this discussion, I want to ask you, in conjunction with Malaysia Day, what is your ideal Malaysia and what do you want to share with our fellow Malaysians?
My ideal Malaysia is one which everyone can listen to each other instead of shout and have people's words run past their heads. I think that because when we all stop and listen to each other, good things can come out of it. Yeah.
And you, Terence?
Well, I think it's a bit of a tricky question because of all the heated arguments that we're going on around now, which we shouldn't be focusing on. I think a lot of unity is not just in like just giving a speech and then hoping that people will get together, but more activities where people actually get together, and also looking past your bubble, your Facebook bubble. Because this is a term I talk about when I talk to friends, and they always say, no, I don't see this and stuff like that. I say you live right now in a kind of like your Facebook bubble. All your friends have the same interests as you, So you don't see what's going on in the other parts of in other people's Facebook bubbles, because they never touch the guys who are doing all the bad things. You never touch those guys because you don't like them. So you have to actually expand and also see what their points of view are. Because only through understanding conversation can you actually have a better Malaysia. So that would be a thing where we actually sit down and we discuss things, whether at teh tarik or whether we end up throwing slippers at each other.
Oh, coming to one of our gatherings
Yeah.
for APOSL.
Or whatever. But better that we sit down and we discuss things versus just like shout through media.
And you guys have your own website as well as Facebook. They can find you at aposl.org.
Yes.
And also, Facebook. Just
Facebook
type
also.
in APOSL.
Yeah.
.my.
Yeah, you can actually search for APOSL.
aposl.my.
Yeah.
Okay. And in Facebook is Advocates for Propagation of Science Literacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got around 600 members now, which is quite big for a local Facebook group.
Yeah, you'll beat the Scientific Malaysia
Oh,
in
no.
terms of membership. Anyway, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You take my money.